Can I bid you all a warm welcome to St Mark's? At this point you say, yes, it is hot. It's good to have so many people here from different parts of Graham's life. Robin, stop that. Good to have so many people here from different parts of Graham's life. There's a lot of stuff on Graham's casket. A lot of people here from different parts of Graham's life. We'll do a roll call, I think, later during the cuppa. This is an old-fashioned funeral that you've come to. When we're in a church, we're going to say Christian prayers, and at the end of the in-church part, we're going to walk next door to the cemetery and lower Graham to his resting place and actually be there for the whole bit. Often funerals today, you're in an anonymous room at a crematorium and you don't see what happens next. Here you're going to see what happens next. We're here to honour Graham and to lay Graham's body to his resting place. The Christian faith says that those who've died as friends of God are with Christ forever. And we're going to, after we've told Graham's story at great length, remember the Christian hope which we hang on to for Graham and which we offer to each other as a way of living hopefully now and trusting God for eternity. You have an order of service which has a few things in it. Everything in heavy type, and there's only a few things, but everything in heavy type is for you to say. Everything in light type is someone else, and we'll work that out as we go along. The plan was that today's service would be live streamed, but I couldn't get the technology to work properly, so that's kind of on me. It is being recorded, hopefully, and be available on YouTube later. So let's just pause and remember that we're in the presence of God who has Graham on his lap and who loves and holds all of us. Grace and peace from the Lord be with you.
And also with you.
As you're able to, can you stand and we'll sing Amazing Grace.
There's no sound in the hall. Has it not been turned on?
Amen.
Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die." Will you join with me in saying, "Loving God, you alone are the source of life. May your life-giving Spirit flow through us and fill us with compassion one for another. In our sorrow, give us the calm of your peace. Kindle our hope and let our grief give way to joy. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen."
Have a seat. A number of people are now going to share tributes and memories of Graham, starting with Hugh on behalf of the immediate family. Understand that Gary and Ken and Charlie are also going to say some things, but I don't know if there's anyone else, so I will say, is there anyone else at some stage when we've heard a few people? Hugh. Into the mics.
Yep.
This mic here is to the hall, this is the recording mic.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you everyone for coming. It says everything how many people are here. Dad was born in Brisbane 26th of September 1942. His father Victor, mother Thelma and sister Mel. He grew up in Benbow Street, Tarragindi, and went to school at Junction Park. His family enjoyed trips to Burleigh Heads, starting his love for caravan and camping. Dad left school, going straight into a painting apprenticeship with the State Works Department. He became a leading hand involved with painting schools, public buildings such as Old Parliament House, doing intricate works such as gold leaf. During this time, he helped nurse his mother, who died from bowel cancer. He then worked at Bowser and Lever, driving trucks with Ray Chandler, his father Victor. This was when he met his wife-to-be Daphne, playing squash at the Glen Gregory squash courts. They married at New Farm on the 17th of April 1971 and moved into Devon Street, Rochdale in September of the same year. Next step for Dad was driving cabs and then starting his business in painting and decorating. At the same time, they started a family with Melissa being born and the beginning of a long-standing friendship with the Rochdale neighbours, Shavers, Crowleys, Gibsons, Shabes, Morgans and the Wilsons. Also, starting many caravanning trips to Bribie Island with the Chandlers and the Laws. Hugh was the next child born. Unfortunately, Dad had to close the business due to a heart attack, which sent him on another pathway. Dad began studying to become a painting and decorating teacher with help from Judy Gibson and Marion Bousfield. During this period, Lawrence was born. Dad started teaching at Yeronga TAFE, where he worked until his retirement with a 3-year country service in Townsville. When the family returned from Townsville, we moved to Monica Street, Rochdale. This is when Mum and Dad got involved with the Kookaburra Caravan Club. Many weekends away socialising and enjoying the company of good people. They began tripping around Australia. Travelling was something they always enjoyed. One trip was to Carisbrook Station for Mum to paint the scenery, starting a great friendship with the Follott family. Dad ended up painting their houses, something he has always done, sharing his time, skills, company to help out in any way he could. On one of the many caravan club weekends, Dad had another heart attack. Ken McNabb, along with others in the club, kept him alive. He was flown to Goondiwindi from Goondiwindi to Toowoomba Hospital. This started another passion for Dad. He began teaching CPR with the aid of a defib machine to clubs and social groups, which he did for 12 years. The last 15 years of Dad's life the last 15 years of
Do you like me to?
yeah.
Or you? I'll give it a crack. Okay, go on.
Yeah. The last 15 years of Dad's life has revolved around his grandchildren, always joking and stirring them up. The doctor, tumbleweed, the bean counter, and the mastermind. Some of the many nicknames. You can't swim. Do I have to come and show you? Wait till I catch you, boy. I'll show you how to tackle. The kids loved his company. He always made an effort to laugh and joke around. Dad was always there, coaching teams, taking us to sports, scouts, school. He always made time for painting, clubhouses, school fetes, and many social activities. He would go out of his way for family and friends, offering support in any way he could. He will be missed.
Thanks. Well done. Thank you. Yeah, grandkids are good. You get to have another go at it, do it all again, and this time you know how special it is, how quickly it goes. Except if the grandkids are spaced out, you can do it for longer, the little kid stuff. I hope to find out soon what Jumping Bean was. Gary, are you here? Thank you. There are a couple of other people that I know about and others that I may not know about. So when you come, can you say who you are and how you know Graham, and then give your tribute. So thank you, Gary. Good to meet you. I'm Jeff. You're on.
Thank you. I can't vouch that everything I'm going to say is strictly correct, because my memory's not the way it used to be, and I'm not that young anymore. But then again, I'm not alone, I don't believe, in this audience. I first met Graham Victor Evans when I was appointed to Yeronga Institute of TAFE as an Associate Director in 1990. Where does 35 years go? That's how long ago it was. Structural changes occurred that required a team management approach, and Graham gravitated to this system of management like a duck to water, especially as team leader. And it's no small part to Graham's professionalism and his integrity that the painting and decorating team was probably the most adaptable and productive teams in all of TAFE Queensland. Graham and I would spend a lot of time discussing issues regularly, whether it was during normal hours or after hours. It didn't seem to worry Graham, didn't seem to worry me. But the same points seemed to come up all the time. We used to discuss the topics: TAFE, family and caravans. That was pretty well the sum of our discussion, and they also brought in some pretty serious discussion as well as quite a few laughs as well. And that was the key to our relationship. There are a couple of instances that I always remember, when I was there at Yeronga. One, that pallets of dented paint tins would arrive regularly, of all different colours, whatever. And I found out this was basically due to Graham and his team, and the companies who manufactured these would have dented cans and tinted wrongly cans and all this sort of stuff. But when you've got, say, 42 apprentices on the floor, and you think of the amount of paint that they use on walls and panels and that sort of thing, it really came in handy. And it just seemed that the more I'd send letters away to the companies thanking them, the more pallets would arrive. And Graham would have a big smile on his face with all the stuff that was arriving. And it was just amazing. I think we can also thank George, who's here, for a fair bit of that as well. George's contacts with various companies, especially Dulux, sort of helped. There were a couple of instances other than that. Graham had a penchant for anything mechanical, compressed air, spray guns, you name it. And we had this old compressor. It looked like it was pre-World War II, I think. Anyhow, but it was a piston compressor. Anyhow, Graham used to complain about this compressor all the time. And I can't blame him, actually. But anyhow, one time when it came up around budget time, he comes in with these brochures and he says, "Look at this, Gary. Look at this machinery." And it was a worm-dried compressor. And I thought, yeah, okay, it looks all right to me, And he said, no, this is the Rolls-Royce of compressors. And I can get 2 of them, and I can get them for half price because they're ex-demonstrator models. And I thought, yeah, okay. And we worked it out. Price was okay, all this sort of stuff. And so about 3 or 4 months later, they arrive. And they're about 1.2 metres or 4 foot in the good old terms, cubed. And out went the old compressor, in came the new one, took a little while to set up. And he said, "This is going to be the best thing you've ever seen. This will provide compressed air to the whole building. So it won't be for us. It'll also do the cabinet makers, and it'll also do the carpenters." Anyhow, so comes the day, presses the switch. Well, blow me down, it's like an F-16 taken off at Amberley Station, And it just didn't stop. It just kept roaring away. And then it sounded like an Exocet missile going up the workshop. It didn't take too long for Hutchie, that's our boss, the director, to come over and say, "What's all the noise about?" Nothing, we're just commissioning the new air conditioning system. So after about 2 or 3 weeks, it was all worked out. We had dampening pads down for it and put insulation in, and Graham had it all under control. Not a problem. I don't know if they were taken out to Acacia Ridge or not, but they were going pretty well when I left. And I think the other thing was, with his love of spray guns, and all this paint that was arriving, he said, oh, we've got these, in the new syllabus, we've got this electrostatic spraying to be done. I said, oh yeah? He said, yeah, this is really good stuff. He said, we put a charge through whatever we're going to spray, and the applicator is also charged up, and the old antenna's going up here. Workplace health and safety and all this sort of thing. But no, again, all under control. In fact, what happened was, if you can think of, for every public servant, there's probably half a dozen filing cabinets, and they're all a dull beige colour or an old brown or grey colour. Well, all of a sudden, these different sections used to send over their filing cabinets, and out they'd go out the other way. But in would come beige, and out would go canary yellow, cobalt blue, froggy green, you name it. And again, next thing, Hutchie's over, the director's over. What's going on? Oh, nothing, Brian, we're just adding a bit of colour to the place. It needs colour. He said, you're right. Well, if you know Brian, he puts a few other adjectives in there. He said, you're right. So we ended up painting. I think we painted some of them twice, but it was more colourful than a preschool, I reckon, or a childcare centre. I'll always remember that. And again, a lot of this was due to communications, and it'd be the same thing we spoke about time after time. We'd talk about TAFE, we'd talk about family, and we'd talk about caravanning. It was the same topics over and over again, and it was good. And we always had a few laughs. Yes, we had some serious times as well, but we always had a few laughs, and that's what it was about. After Graham left TAFE, he and the family, he and Daphne and the family, they did a lot of travelling, and Graham picked up the paintbrush and that sort of stuff, and I believe he did some work in central Queensland and so forth. And I believe it's on one of these trips that he had a medical episode, and from that he became involved in delivering programs with the ambulance service in CPR. And that, again, took, if you know Graham, he doesn't do things 20%, 30%. He'll do it 130%. It's as simple as that, and he's right into it. I last saw Graham about 3 weeks before he passed. I met him at the Logan Hospital, and he was about to be transferred down to Beaudesert Hospital. And we probably spoke for about at least a quarter of an hour before the paramedics came in to take him in the ambulance down to Beaudesert Hospital. And even though we had left TAFE long past, what did we talk about? We talked about TAFE, we talked about family, and we talked about caravanning. Same thing. And we had a few good laughs. Graham was a good friend. He was also a man of good report.
Thank you, Gary. So TAFE, family and caravanning. I'm looking at Daphne thinking in that order. Probably not. Ken, are you here? You're up, Ken. And then it's someone called Charlie Fellot, and then after that I'll see if there's anybody else. They didn't warn you? Okay, well, I'll warn you.
I'll be quick. Morning all. I've got no notes, so I might wander around a bit, don't worry about that. To start the story off is my wife and I were members of the Queensland Caravan Club, and I finished up getting into the State Association in early 2000, and in 2006 I was the president of the Combined Caravan Clubs of Queensland, and we were having a state rally at Goondiwindi Showgrounds, and the closing ceremony was supposed to be at midday Sunday, and one of my best mates is Jim Hogan and I, we were busy. You know, it's amazing at state rallies we seem to lose a lot of toilet paper. We were forever putting toilet papers, and sometimes the rolls would go too. So Jim and I were busy this morning, and next minute I got a phone call. It's my wife. She said, "You better get down here, Graham's down." You know, so, oh. So we went into the shed where he was, and there's a bloke there trying to do resus off a phone taken. And I said, "Do you want me to take over?" He said, "Oh yes, please." There started an episode. It went on and on. I think it was about half an hour. The first ambulance turned up with a lady on her own. And I said, "Do you want me to stop?" "No, you keep going." She said, take your shirt off." I said, "I can't, it's brand new. You can't rip it, you know." So she scissors it. And I was going, and I don't know how much longer it was, but another ambulance turned up, and they had the, what do you call them, the defibrillator. So they had that on board. So, and I said, "Oh, this is good, I can have a rest now." They said, "No, you keep going, you keep going." I said, going and going. Anyway, I think they hit him 3 times with a defibrillator that morning. And the last time because I had to get up while they were doing that and have a little spell and straight back into it again. And the last time I got up, and I said to my wife, "Graham's not going to make this." Anyway, they finally got him into an ambulance, and didn't know how he was. He wasn't too good and he left, I can assure you. Of course, the closing ceremony being at 12 o'clock, I had to talk to the MC and make sure everything was going all right in that area. And he said, "You know, we better not play this song." I said, "Why not?" "Now is the hour." Of course, the first thing he said is, "Graham's still alive." I said, "I wouldn't know, mate. It's got to take him off of the ambulance. I don't know." We won't play that. I said, "Oh, good idea, don't play it." It's amazing how little things like that come up. So I'll just finish that Goondiwindi story first. We had the closing ceremony, and on Monday we cleared up, and Tuesday morning we're packing up to go home, and Dell said, "What's wrong with your hand?" "Well, sort of looks like something's bitten it, you know." So she said, "You were doing that resus the other day?" I said, "Yeah." "Oh, it was bloody sore." I said, so anyway, when I got home, I thought, I better go to the doctor and see him. I might have broken a bone, getting tired, I suppose, and everything's slipping around. But there was no bones broken, but it healed again. And then on the Tuesday, we called into Toowoomba, found out I was in Toowoomba Hospital. He knew we were there, but he wasn't real good, I can tell you. He didn't look real good then. And he was very uptight about everything. So, but anyway, look, all I can say is all the training we did for that, I never had to do it at work, which was lucky, because I was in transmission live line as well, so that's why we had to do it every 6 months there, but never had to do that at work. So, and it all worked well, so all I can say is rest in peace, Graham. Thank you.
Well, Ken, on behalf of everyone else, thank you for getting him back for everybody else. And I guess that's why Graham adopted a number of obsessions, CPR and shears in ambulances to cut clothes open. And there's a pair of those on Graham's casket now. Can I ask, did you cut? No. Charlie. Is Charlie here? Way up the back. Thanks, Charlie. And is there anyone else to come after Charlie? Can I ask now? Barry and... Thank you. Caroline.
Morning, everyone. I'm Charlie Phillip, the bloke from out Winton, Carisbrook Station. So a couple of you might have heard of Graham talk about the place and how he used to like coming bush out there. And we came to know Graham and Daphne. Daphne was going to do an art course out at Carisbrook, I think some about 23 years ago, Daphne, would that be right? And Daphne rang my mum up, mum and dad were there at the time, and she rang mum up and said, coming out to do this art course at your place, and my husband's a bit of a painter, have you got something to so he doesn't get bored and drive me mad? I think that's what you said, wasn't it, Daph? Yeah. And anyway, so mum said, yeah, sure, we've got a little cottage you could do a bit of painting on. And so Graham spent the next however long it was, Daphne, on that visit, starting the painting of about a 250 square metre cottage. And I think it took him another 2 visits, I think, to complete the inside of that. And it became a little bit of a joke between Graham and I. I used to be able to ring him up for a yarn, and I could open with, "G'day mate, I've got a little cottage to paint." And I'm sorry, Reverend, but Graham's reply would be, "Ha ha, you and your bloody cottages." Yeah, so, but I think he used to love coming out, and his generosity of spirit and time and his sense of humour, we used to, as a family, we used to love, looking forward to the time when Graham had come back for a visit, you know. And it wasn't just his paintbrush that we appreciated that very much, but just his character and his sense of humour. And over the years he started to bring his mates, and they were all tarred with the same brush, the same wacky sense of humour. And a few of them here today, you know who I'm talking to. But the type of people that Graham had around him just showed what a great man he was, what a generous man he was, and he'll always have a special place in my memories and heart, because he was a good mate. My only, I guess, it's not a regret, I suppose, but yeah, we sort of lost, weren't in as contact as much in the last few years, but he'll never be forgotten in our family. And my wife Penny, she can't be here today, but I think Graham's wages for everything he did for us, I think Graham's wages were the muffins, the chocolate muffins and the pumpkin muffins that Penny used to bake. So I think that was the only way we were able to pay him, because he didn't accept much else. And I just hope that, I hope those times, were as good for him as they were for us. Yeah, thank you.
G'day everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Harrison. That's my old boy. Look, growing up, we had, obviously Graham ran a fair bit, and yeah, he treated us all like family, and growing up as little kids, we pretty much thought he was family. We, like the old man said, we used to really look forward to him coming out and bringing whoever along with him, We just, it was, brought a bit of positivity and new bit of bounce around the place, and really just, he was involved in everything. And I guess the biggest thing growing up as a young fellow I remember about him was just, he was always doing something for someone else. Like 90% of the time I saw him, he was into something, and it was just for someone else. Like, it was never, I never saw him doing anything for, just for the sake of doing it. It was always helping out around the joint, and it was always, it was always a laugh to go along with it, and a bit of positivity. And as young fellas, you look up to that stuff when you see it from the outside, and you see folks get around it and the positivity it brings to everyone. And Graham had that in folds, and he did me a kindness on more than a few occasions. I think it was 10 years ago or something. I was a wide-eyed 18-year-old from northwest Queensland. I had to come down for a bit of trade school, and Graham and Daff were generous enough to let me stay with them for a few weeks. And me and Graham loaded up in a troopy, and he drove me all around and showed me to where trade school was and what buses to catch and what pubs to go to. And showed me, but he introduced me to a few of his ratbag mates. So we had a good time. And he'll be missed around the joint. And it's a shame. Like, not many blokes of that calibre left, and with that sort of passion and that drive and that generosity. And as much as his close mates wouldn't have you believe it, but he was a true gentleman. So don't listen to them.
Thanks, Emily.
Dear Grandad, I will miss you very much, and even if you're gone, I will always be your bean counter. Love, Emily.
So your bean counter. I thought that must be a game. No, it's a nickname. It's a granddad's job to give the kids nicknames. Is your name Carolyn? Yep, come on up.
My name's Carolyn Jensen. I was Carolyn Hockaday. I also grew up in Benbow Street with Graham and Merle. My sister still is very friendly with Merle and still phones her regularly. I'm sorry, Daphne, she can't be here today because she's just come off a cruise. But anyway, I thought it'd be worth telling a couple of the funny little things that happened when we were kids. We used to play cops and robbers up and down the streets, and Merle and Graham had beautiful bikes, two-tone blue, which Mr. Evans had matched them exactly the same. The neighbours always watched out for us because they knew that we always played cops and robbers in the afternoon, so that was good. And in those days there wasn't a lot of cars. And then later on in life, I can relate to the time when Graham had the heart attack. I was there too, and I thought I was going to lose Ray into the bargain because we'd been friends for so long, and Christchurch Yeronga used to come to our church in Cracknell Road. We used to have dances monthly dances at the two halls. So it was a big group of us. There was, well, like Ray belonged to Christchurch Yeronga, and I, with my cousin, and Graham, we belonged to Cracknell Road. So it was a big family concern, and we always felt safe. But for the young ones that are here today, I'd just like to tell you, you know, you've all got phones and you've all got your ears to the phones or your faces to the screens. But in our day, we had our own phone. Now, Graham rigged it up. Graham and Merle lived on the high side of the road. You'll remember this, Bloss. And we lived on the low side of the road. And we had a can into Mrs. Evans's sewing and ironing room. And it came across the road and through our louvers, and there was a can in our front porch. And as soon as they'd finished tea, they'd be ringing the phone, and we'd get on one end of the can and talk to them. So if you've never tried it, try it. It definitely works, and it doesn't cost anything. Thanks, Daphne. Oh, just before I go, I was going to say, I've had the pleasure of meeting Lawrence at Goondiwindi and Melissa today. I've yet to meet Boo.
I'm from the era of cans as well, but not quite that far back, but I don't remember them working that well. Perhaps I needed Graham, who could clearly fix things. Barry. We should all be nervous when a retired school principal comes to the microphone.
To dear Daphne and family, firstly I'd like to convey our deepest sympathy to you all on the very sad passing of Graham. And secondly, I'd like to say what a great honour it is and a privilege for me to say a few words about him today. We've known Graham and Daphne for many years, having first met here at St Mark's many years ago. And then we discovered we had a Kingaroy connection, having known Daphne's brother Bill in Kingaroy for over 50 years. Every time I met Graham, he was always the same. He always had time to have a chat, and he loved to have a chat. I really enjoyed listening to Graham's stories about his old blue cattle dog, his many camping and caravanning trips, and of course, the troop carrier. In particular, I loved hearing about Graham and Daphne's trips to Carisbrook Station, and Graham was amazed when we were talking one day to learn that we too had been out to Winton, had gone to the dinosaur display at Lark Quarry, and down the jump up to Carisbrook Station, and we really enjoyed sharing our memories of the outback. Graham was what I call a genuine good guy, and his trips to Carisbrook were done, I'm sure, with his love of the people of the outback being equally as important to him as actually being in the outback. Over the last couple of years, after Graham and Daphne moved to Eagleby, I mentioned to Graham that I was involved in the Beenleigh District Men's Shed. I invited Graham to drop in any time to have a look at the shed, have a cuppa and morning tea with the men, and have a look at the interesting work that they do. Graham readily accepted my invitation, and it was always great to see the troop carrier arrive from time to time with Graham ready for a chat. As first aid is of great importance to us all at the shed, I asked Graham if he knew of anyone who may be able to run a short course for the men on basic first aid and the use of the defibrillator. Of course, the answer immediately came back, "I'll do that for you." A date and time was set, and Graham duly arrived with a mannequin under his arm, and the session began. As soon as Graham began, he went from first gear to overdrive in a split second. His face lit up, his quips and jokes began, and Graham had the full attention of everyone. Graham certainly knew his stuff, and he was a born presenter. Graham wouldn't take any payment for his session, but suggested that the shed make a donation to St John's Ambulance on his behalf, and that was duly done. And I told Graham that if there was any way that we could make or fix anything for him, to let me know. Graham only thought for 2 seconds, and he said, "Actually, there is something that's very important to Daphne. It's a folding clothesline that we used to take in the van, but it's broken. Daphne's been on to me for years to get it fixed. Do you think the boys could have a look at it and maybe fix it?" I said, "Graham, mate, can we fix it? Mate, we have fellows here with every imaginable skill. We've got chippies and plumbers and sparkies and boilermakers, welders, painters, you name it. If it's ever been made, we can make it. If it's broken, we can fix it. If it's not broken, we can even break it for you." Graham didn't like that joke a bit, actually. He duly brought the clothesline in. The boys dismantled it, replaced the broken sections, and reassembled it. Good as a new one. Graham was tickled pink when he saw the refurbished article and was very excited to be able to take it home and present it to Daphne. Graham continued to drop into the shed until his ill health prevented him from doing so. He will be greatly missed by all of us, but we will remember him for his humour, his friendliness and his generosity. Rest in peace, Graham. Thank you.
We're a long way from leaving church to take Graham to his resting place, but when we do, we will appropriately be going out to Sir Harry Seckham singing "If I Could Help Somebody." We're now going to watch some pictures which will bring more stories to life for most of you. Thank you. When we gather, we tell two stories. We tell the story of Graham's life, and I try and encourage people to tell stories to bring Graham back to life in our mind's eye, and everybody did. And we heard some awesome stories, to which you added your own, some of them during those pictures. In a Christian funeral, we also tell something of the story of God's love, and we're going to hear Psalm 8 and some verses from John 14. Psalm 8, picked because it describes the majesty of the night sky and how moved we are by that. And John 14, because it's Jesus' clearest promise to take his friends home. So can Jenny and Karen come up, please? Are you Jenny or Karen? Jenny or your son?
O Lord, our Governor, how majestic is your name in all of the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. Out of the mouths of babes and infants, you have founded a bulwark because of your foes, to silence the enemy and the avenger. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have established, what are human beings that you are mindful of them, mortals that you care for them? Yet you have made them a little lower than God and crowned them with glory and honour. You have given them dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under your feet, all sheep and oxen and all the beasts of the field, the birds of the air and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the seas. O Lord, our Governor, how majestic is your name in all the earth.
John 14:1-6. Jesus said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and I will take you to myself, so that where I am, there you may also be. And you know the way to the place where I am going." Thomas said to him, "Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" Jesus said to him, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me."
You can take a glass half full approach to life or a glass half empty approach to life, or you can just look at the glass and say it's both. Graham's life was very full. Family. He was proud of all of you, loved all of you, and didn't want to go. TAFE and fixing things. I wish I'd been there to hear the compressor when it first launched, like an Exocet missile firing down the shed. I'm surprised that he didn't fix his own clothes hoist. He could do everything else. Who would have thought you'd paint filing cabinets green? But what a great way to train young blokes and blokesses in their trade, and finding things from people and being able to make those relationships so that stuff just turned up because people responded to Graham. And caravanning, which led to more painting, and being out in the great Australian outdoors and seeing stuff that many of us, apart from you caravanning, semi-divine people, many of us will never get to see all those things. And we saw on the picture and some other things, the galah and the blue dog, life very full. Into every life there's a little bit of empty. Things that don't work, health that fails. Although 82 years, struggles with different issues in life. Everybody's dealing with stuff, and sometimes you know about it, and sometimes you just get to admire the courage of someone who's dealing with what they're dealing with. Jesus' promise to his disciples is a promise to be with them through all of that, that they'll be blessed in the things they can do and comforted in the things they can't. That all things work for good to make us who we are. That to become wise, kind, cheerful, a great granddad requires the full and the challenge. God is at work in our lives to teach us and shape us because we are made like God. We can love, we can make, we can do. And we know ourselves. So as we know nothing else in the universe knows ourselves the way we do, because we're made in the image of God. Jesus promises to be with us, and God enables us to live the kind of life that Graham lived, full. And Jesus promises that at the end he'll take his friends home. A place prepared, already painted. Well, I reckon God might have left a wall for Graham so he'd have something to do, because forever's a long time. A place prepared where the real Graham can be the real Graham. He's probably skinny. He's younger than 82. Where all the good things can be completed and all the challenges can be just dealt with, and Graham can be Graham in the presence of God. Jesus promised a place, and he promises to be with us, his love, his forgiveness, and not even death takes us away from that. Death is, for Christians, the doorway into the nearer presence of God. So celebrate Graham's life. Admire the man he decided to be, the good bloke, the one who helped, the one who made friends, the one who was always up for a chat right to the end. And thank God that for Christians the end is not the end. The end is the end of the first chapter. The great Christian writer C.S. Lewis said, "The dream is over, this is the morning." Graham's gone into that morning, so we thank God for his life and we thank God for the hope that Christians have. I'm going to lead us in prayer, and I know not everybody here is a prayer person. I'll lead us in prayer thanking God for Graham's life and praying for those who mourn, and then leading into the Lord's Prayer, which you have printed so you can share in it in the version printed in the leaflet. Let us pray. God, we give you thanks for the gift of life. You made us in your image and called us to reflect your truth and light. We thank you for the life of Graham Victor Evans. We thank you for the family and friends and community he grew up in. We thank you for the family he made with Daphne. We thank you that he knew how lucky he was, loved his family, and enjoyed doing it again with his grandchildren. We thank you for Graham's contribution to the community, for the people he mentored through TAFE, for the people who became better men and women because they met him, for getting Graham through those health challenges and enabling him to learn new